In the summer of 2016, a group of scientists were curious to find out if they could work together to create a scientific community.
I've been to many conferences over the years. I would say, let's say since I became a PhD student, almost every year. So for example, I've been to one conference which was a very big conference of a big chemical society, and there were parallel sessions, thousands of people. Because people were running from session to session and have pre-booked meetings with other people and so on and so forth, I didn't feel that I had the chance to really strongly interact.
Normally it's around a very specific topic where the people that attend all study basically the same things. In many cases, maybe even more often than not, the best ideas come from people outside of your field, and you have to be a little ignorant to come up with really new ideas.
I have been to meetings where the poster sessions were not good, were not planned really for the people to go to the poster session, but were just in between things. It was like a lost cause. No one will go to the posters, the students will feel very frustrated because they work hard to prepare them and no one will be there.
And even when you start your own lab, which is what most people in our conference do, like they have their own lab for maximum 5 years, again, you are not very well known in the field, or you are not a big expert, not considered, so you don't have also a very good exposure.
What shouldn't happen in a good convention is people just presenting published work that you already know. And another thing that shouldn't happen, and that's very important, is that you go out of your way and you do show unpublished work and it gets scooped or something. Someone hears it and steals your idea or pushes his work ahead of yours. And in a good convention, ideally you present unpublished work, you get feedback and you improve your work. No one steals it, and you learn and you improve, and the science improves.
They proposed a format that would be an alternative style of conference in order to bring people together and form a community. To overcome the limitations of a typical scientific conference, they decided to organize their own small convention.
זה מקום סופר 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 יפה. זה מדהים. ברק זה לא צחוק. עשינו שם בערב רב שלנו,
Civita, a small village in the south of Italy, was chosen to be the venue for the conference.
In several parameters, it's quite different, I would say, than a regular conference. For example, everybody attending this conference is at the same level. So we're all early career scientists, non-tenured yet. So this is quite unusual. Normally there is different people at different stages of their career.
So we are just 30 to 50 people, and it's a very familiar and friendly atmosphere. We are basically a bunch of friends and their families, and part of our team.
Another interesting thing is that it's invitees only. You can't sign up, you can only be invited, which keeps it very exclusive and friendly.
We are people from different fields actually, which is not usual because typical conference will be on a specific topic and you have all the people working on the same topic coming. In our case it's really broad because it's not based on the topic, it's based on people that we know, that we like.
I'm studying the role of TP73 antisense 1, a long non-coding RNA, on glioblastoma.
Our research is about Ewing sarcoma, which is a pediatric sarcoma, which is occurring mostly in children and young adolescents.
And look how germline mutations and somatic mutations act together and influence the progression.
For information to be transmitted from one generation to the other, information that is not directly coded in the DNA.
Another thing that's special about this meeting is that many of us come with families too. And normally when you go to a scientific meeting, especially if you have a family with young children and so on, then you are constantly battling with yourself of whether you should be there or you should go back, and you suffer to some degree. And in this meeting we wanted it to be different, so many of us come with their families. It's part of the deal and it's organized in a way that the families can be together and it will be very nice.
One of their goals was to facilitate student engagement in the conference. They decided that the students should present their projects in the context of the group they belong to, and they should present without using PowerPoint, but rather using a whiteboard.
You go to a meeting, you get to witness the cult of science. people acting a little bit like a cult. All the talk sounds pretty much the same in many cases, because people follow a format of how to present the work using an introduction slide and then a summary slide and so on. And I think that we took special effort of preventing that from happening in our meeting. The talks are going to be very informal, no PowerPoints.
When you go to a classical conference, you will see hundreds of slides per day, and at least my eyes get very tired, and then I switch off, my brain switches off. And just from my personal experience, I find it less tiring and much more exciting to listen to a speaker and how he develops a figure by drawing it in a very schematic way on a whiteboard.
It's a good opportunity to understand the project and the context in which it lies. And it's not as obvious as it would seem from the outside, because the day-to-day work of us is not directly connected to the big picture. And here it is an opportunity to create or to see more clearly the big picture, and it's an opportunity, it's not obvious.
I've done some practice talks to manage talking without slides, which is very different than standing with your presentation and having that as an aid. You have to know your project all around, and you need to know exactly what you have to say, and you need to have your take-home message very, very clear, because you don't have it written behind you.
This is much more important skills for a student than standing lonely next to a poster.
Because the format of presentation is different, so I can imagine they will be a bit worried, scared, like how to present, will it be okay? But I'm sure when they will do it, and because there will be a lot of students, and I'm sure there will be good interaction between the students, I'm sure overall they will get a very good experience, and not just on the scientific level, but also on the personal level. They will have also a good time, I'm sure.
It's interesting, it's a new experience. I think it could be very beneficial to everyone participating.
Bunches of 3, but their phase is different, because this one starts with high, but this one starts with low.
Okay, great, so you're ready.
I hope I am.
And we did phylogenetic analysis to divide the tree to different clades.
It's part of the job. We need to be able to talk about our project, and it's not an easy task, but we work on it, and I will be happy for myself in some aspects of it this time, and I will want to improve other aspects, but this is part of the learning and being a student.
In order to increase interactions and keep everybody on their toes, they decided to introduce the speed dating session.
We will have a session where the students will go through each PIs and will be asked questions for 5 minutes, like in a kind of speed dating format. And we hope that this way the student will have more personal interaction with each of the PIs in the conference.
Well, I'm still very nervous, but not that much as in the beginning. I think actually that's a good thing, because they will ask me questions I wouldn't think about at all, because I'm kind of too deep into the topic to consider it, especially when they are from different fields. So they look differently at the topic and give me a new input and a new view on my topic, and I will get new ideas how to work on my project.
I also like the speed dating idea, because even there, the students there have the possibility really to interact with the PIs. It's not always the case, because at big conferences it's not easy to have the attention of the PIs for too long, especially the big shots. And here they can sit down, show their data, have positive feedback from a friendly environment, not too frightening from them. Sometimes it happens.
It started from a crazy idea of young people, and we just followed our vision without taking into account that we could fail.
I think it's a good model. It's definitely a good model. I think it could completely change the way people see scientific meetings if it catches on and people do the same.
This is a celebration of science.
This experiment was a success. Personal bonds were formed, and the people returned to their homes inspired and excited to test their new ideas.